He does a lot of weaving while he's in prison, and sometimes he even went so far as to weave clothing and shawls and things like that for people who had thrown him in prison, and he would mail those to them. And there was a guy actually in South Africa that he did that for, and he mailed it to him much later. You know, it had happened when Gandhi was a younger man. He mailed it to him when he was a bit older, and he sent it back and said, "I'm not worthy of this." But when the war ends, when World War II ends, India is ready to become independent at this point. So you get to 1945, 1946, the British are ready to get out. But the question is, how are they going to get out of India without leaving a horrible, horrible mess and a lot of death and destruction? Because there were all of these divisions that were present in India between Hindu and Muslim. At first, Gandhi, of course, is saying, well, we have to have the British pull out, but we're not going to be two separate countries. India and Pakistan is not an option. But most of the other statesmen, including Jinnah and Nehru and Mountbatten, all said, you know, that's really not practical. We're going to have to do that. And so Gandhi ends up leaving the talks and going on a pilgrimage to try to stop the violence between Muslim and Hindu just by speaking to people personally on the ground. He recites Muslim scriptures, he recites Hindu scriptures, he fasts. But while he's doing all of this, those other statesmen are deciding we're going to have two separate countries. And so we do end up getting, on August 1st, 1947, an India and a Pakistan that are independent of Britain rather than one united India. And when that happens, Gandhi is just at home at his ashram, his religious community. He has no message. He's totally silent. The only thing he says is, "My heart has dried up." So he really didn't like that had happened. He felt like it was not a victory. It was not true freedom. It was a failure because they couldn't stay together. So the next year or so following Indian independence, so 1947, 1948, we see a lot more violence between Muslims and Hindus. And when that really ends is following Gandhi's assassination. He's assassinated in 1948, and the sort of upwelling of grief that happens in India in response to that is something that the Prime Minister, Nehru, is able to sort of channel to say, let's not fight each other anymore. Gandhi is actually killed by a Hindu fundamentalist who thinks that that Gandhi had betrayed his own religion, because Gandhi himself was a Hindu, by speaking for Hindus and for Muslims and for Jews and for Christians. And so I think Gandhi would perhaps have approved that his death did help bring about peace to some extent.